Hey, welcome to Apex TV, episode 3. We're here with personal trainers Lynn, DeLancey, and Marisa Huber from Customized Fitness in Midland Park. They've been very generous to give us a little bit of their time and, explain a little bit about personal training and understand what it incorporates, the benefits of it, and just understand a little bit about it. It's something that I highly recommend for my clients just getting started, especially coming off of a post-rehab program, to kind of help facilitate, a smooth transition to feeling better and moving better. I've known Lynn for years now. It's been since 2004, actually. We met through a fellow friend, Debbie Connolly, and she said, I have this woman, Lynn DeLancey, and Marisa I met later on, and she's got the same philosophy, the same care, and all that. And then from that point on, we started working with clients together, and it's really been a wonderful experience. I've just, my clients have been taken very well care, taken incredible care of. She's got a great dialogue with us. When she's got a concern, she's on the phone, and normally we talk about things ahead of time with any kind of clients we have some concerns about. But I know they're in great hands if I don't hear from her, and they've always got rave reviews from you guys, and also Marisa later on as she's joined Lynn. But it's been a wonderful collaboration. I'm really excited to hear a little bit about personal training today from them. So, Lynn, tell me a little about your history and how you got started in personal training. I know it, but I'm going to tell everyone else about it.
Well, it goes back a really long time, almost 40 years.
40 years, okay.
I started first in yoga and then teaching aaerobics in the days of Jane Fonda.
Wow.
And really long
headbands
time.
And all that, leg warmers.
And from there, aerobic director, from there, health and fitness director of Hawaii in Washington Township. And then in the 90s, first got certified in personal training, and then in the 90s got certified fully in Pilates for all the equipment. And, since then, been Trx certified, Buff Bone certified, and so it keeps evolving. But it's been a long 38-year process.
It's great.
Where we are today.
A lot of experience. You keep on learning, which is always what we want to hear as a trainer that's going back.
I'm old,
and
I gotta keep
you got to keep learning, yeah. which is wonderful. But Marisa, tell me a little about your journey, because you came on board.
Yeah, I came on. I've been doing this about 12 years now. And for me, it was a completely different career shift. I was in the financial and marketing world. And then I really wanted to have something that I could balance my family and my career. And it was just such a natural evolution for me. I grew up in fitness. I literally spent my summers in gyms, and I joined my family's business.
Right.
And I love it. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Couldn't go back to the corporate world. Every person who I work with is here because they want positive change, happy change, and it was just a natural fit. I was really fortunate to have a business to go into. And
excellent.
Yeah,
Good.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about the certification for a personal trainer. Like you mentioned about being certified. Tell me what does entail, and a little bit about that. Like,
truthfully, to be certified as a personal trainer is a rather short process.
Okay.
So the fact that a trainer is certified doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Okay.
Their experience means a lot, because that's when you really become a trainer. You can become a trainer in a weekend, and it doesn't really mean that you're ready to train people.
So you want to kind of get to know the background and
that's right.
experience.
So be sure you check out a trainer very thoroughly, see how long they've been training, and are they working with people who have issues like you do, whether your issues might be post-rehab or
right.
whatever. You want to be sure that trainer has worked with many different types of people.
Well, tell me about the bone certification. That's kind of interesting to me. It's about osteoporosis, I assume, buff bones and all that. Tell me a little bit about that certification, what that means exactly.
Buff bones, it was a weekend certification. It took several days, and it is about women with osteopenia or osteoporosis, which is 1 out of every 2 women over the age of 50.
That's an incredible statistic.
It's really an epidemic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge part of our population, and it's a very, very specific medically endorsed program that teaches people how to work out, what to do, what not to do. Right. And there's just it's very involved in the things that you should do, but you can then follow it through in your life in general, understanding what's safe and what's dangerous for you with those conditions.
Well, in that spirit, is there a couple things that you say you should absolutely not do as far as training? Like if you're doing it on your own, like what are things you really want to avoid as far as exercise?
Absolutely never do a crunch.
Okay.
Nothing that involves flexing your upper back. I don't particularly like
honestly, we
crunches.
do very little of that anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a big crunch fan, but it's especially poor for somebody. And rotation and flexion are extremely poor. And a lot of times you'll see people with these conditions taking classes, and they don't know that.
It's funny, you made a point earlier, we were talking about that when someone walks in, Lynn was mentioning about this, about if they're over 50 and they haven't had a bone density scan, you go with the assumption that they have that, so just to make the proper precautions.
Safe. Right.
Yeah, it's just, I think that makes sense. So if someone comes in here, talking about starting out, like what exactly come? They call you up, they say, hey, maybe they're not even referred from me or anyone else. How do you start with them? What's the first thing that you guys do?
First thing is just really sit down and have a conversation, talk about their goals, what their experience is. We do have a number of forms which help us get to know somebody, whether it be, what they've done in the past, any medical issues, of course.
Right.
Really, what are the things in their lives that are causing them stress? So it's various things, but it's very customized. That's the name.
Right, exactly.
It depends on the particular person, but we spent a lot of time getting to know them and figuring out what they're looking for in their fitness.
It's kind of similar to us when we were talking about goals, like what's their, understanding the person, what's their goals, because you want to make sure you're kind of matched with their expectations. I'll say I want in physical therapy, I'll tell them I want this goal, but that may not be their goal. I think it's their goal, but really what they want to do. My golfers will say, I just want to golf. I don't care if I'm crippled. As long as I can golf, I'm happy about it. So that's always a kind of a good thing to be in touch. And I think with trainers and therapists, it's just having that personal rapport that you're really matched well with the personality. And I think that
which is what's so nice about our business. It's so we really do basically privates and semi-privates and occasionally very small groups.
And you really develop relationships.
We really know our people.
Right. Oh, I'm sure you do.
About their life, I know everything about them, and that's very nice for them as well as for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I love Pilates. I just think it's wonderful. It's helped my wife out as far as alignment. Tell me a little bit about Pilates and the benefits, because that's something that I think when we talk about therapy, we're talking about posture and alignment. Pilates seems to take a lot of that, but maybe you can tell me more.
Pilates just incorporates just pretty much everything from breath to posture.
Right.
And even though we do a lot of strength training, we incorporate Pilates principles in everything.
Wow.
How you use your core, how you stand, how you sit in your car, how you sit at your desk.
Right.
It should be something you carry out the door.
Exactly.
Not just do in the door. So doing Pilates is wonderful, but you can't do a Pilates session on the reformer and then walk away and then just forget about it.
And then slump all day.
It has to really get ingrained in your thinking, and I think that's something that we really
a lot of people will say to me, they'll be sitting at their desk and they'll suddenly remember those,
those
principles, or sit in their car and realize that they've been kind of driving. So it does. It goes to all facets of your life.
So there's, we didn't talk about this too much, but I know there's the reformer. I think people have heard about. Can you tell me?
Wonder chair.
Okay, and what was that based on? It was Joseph Pilates was the original, and
it was during World War I, and he was an internee in a prisoner of war camp in Germany.
Oh wow, that was
and he
okay.
Created the original reformer out of bed springs.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a great. I love the history and all those things.
Injured rehab. So it was really based on injury. Interesting, especially for somebody like you. That's where the background of it came, was rehab.
Yeah, and I think some of them were bedridden, so they couldn't get up.
That's right. Long before rehab was ever thought of, he thought of it.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting story about how
passed, I think, before it really.
He did pass before it ever took off.
Yeah. It's like these artists that passed before their paintings are appreciated or anything like that. So, tell me a little bit about as far as training. Like, I know it's about goals, but how often should you train? Like, how often? I know it's highly customized, but
it is. It's not really a cut and dry answer, because we understand that financially, schedules, people can't come to us 3-5 times a week. I mean, would that be great? Of course. But our goal is to give them ideas, exercises, things to take home with them, so they can be fit and do things a few times a week. Some days it might be that you have 20 minutes to do your exercise. Right. Do it. Don't use the excuse that you don't have an hour, even 10.
Even 10, whatever.
And I'll always try to work, particularly with new people. I'll work with them. I'll give them a few exercises to take home each week and say, these are your exercises for the week. I really want you to work on them, own them, learn them.
Own your fitness.
And now you have them.
It's funny, when I was single and I had all the time in the world, I would say, if I didn't have an hour, I'm not going to do it. So I've gotten out of that mindset because I've had to. but never an hour. So I just run around after the guys. But one thing that came up that was interesting, Marisa was telling me about, is the Tabata. So maybe you could tell me about Tabata, because that's a great kind of just get in something,
Yeah, Tabata is really an interval type of training. Its history goes back to a Japanese biking, right? Biking, is that what it says? Yeah, biking. But it's the idea of spiking your heart rate, coming down for a little bit of rest, and it has translated into strength training, cardio, various things. But what I love about it is it's 4 minutes. So it's 20 seconds of work,
Right.
10 seconds of
8
rest
cycles.
for 8 cycles. So oftentimes when I don't have any time to do it, I'll do 2 sets of Tabatas. I have a little app on my phone, 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
And
It's
this
hard
was-
to say you
I
don't
feel
have 8
good.
minutes.
Right.
It's really hard to convince yourself
It
that
was
you don't have
funny.
8 minutes.
Yeah, and this is done with elite cyclists, and that helped them. Can you imagine what it can do for people that are not even? I mean,
you
you
can
could
do it at any level because
You
the
can.
intensity with which you could do it sitting on a stationary bike and just
funny.
pedal fast for 20 seconds and recover. So it doesn't matter where your level is, you can still do Tabata.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think, and we talked about this earlier, is one of the big things I think in working out, if you're not reaching your goals, is intensity. I think a lot of times intensity is not there, so I think the Tabata kind of helps you with that a little bit, or has sets
It makes you feel what it feels like to work really hard.
really, really hard.
The
Yeah.
accountability, and people will say that to me sometimes. I have been training people a long time, and they say, I come to you because I'm accountable to you.
Right.
It keeps me accountable to
Yeah.
this little app. It yells at me when I'm not keeping up. So
Yeah, you're like, I gotta get going. That's a great. Do you have the app offhand, or is the name of it, or
It's
we can add it
free,
later?
if you add in Tabata into your app, there's a million.
We could
Yeah,
probably
a
move
bunch
into
of them
about
come up.
yeah.
Yeah, a
whole
So,
bunch come up.
but that's a great way to kind of just and the smartphones are great just to kind of have that as part of your
Yep.
workout. I'll use it for timing myself.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah.
I'm like I've been talking for more than 30 seconds. I should get back to a workout. So I it's part of it. But tell me, one of the big topics in physical therapy, in training, is stretching, and that's something that we're going to probably do a blog on later on or something like that. But love to hear your thoughts on it as far as your clients and what you instruct them and kind of recommend for training before, during, after. Can you kind of talk
I
about that?
never like to see anybody stretch cold.
Right.
That's pretty much a rule of thumb.
Right.
Certainly after an active warm-up, you can do a little bit of stretching, but the bulk of the stretching that I do with the client is at the end. When
At the
I feel
end.
that they have the warmest muscle, and I feel like that's the safest.
I
Right.
agree.
Right.
I do the same thing. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's I typically recommend like a little 3 to 5 minutes just warming up, go
Yeah.
for a nice walk and all that, and
Right,
maybe
and
some
then maybe
dynamic,
intervals, yep.
but not really aggressive passive stretching where you're really cranking down on the muscle and the fascia. And I think that's
Well,
just,
something like Pilates, you're actually working and stretching at the same time, which is
Yeah.
very interesting. Not many things are like that, but you're doing your
Right.
work and you're doing lengthening as you're working.
maybe we'll do it on another blog. We'll do a video blog and we'll just show like a little bit of what Pilates is,
be
because we're
very
talking
cool.
about it and because kind of visually it's like, what is that and all that. I know they also have mat Pilates too,
They do.
and that's kind of interesting.
It's
I've seen.
interesting.
We do mat Pilates, but that's because we also have the experience of doing equipment.
And also
Right,
to
right.
modify, because mat Pilates, especially when you're talking about osteopenia, osteoporosis, mat Pilates can be horrific for somebody with
Right,
osteopenia,
right.
osteoporosis. There's so much curved.
There's a lot of curve stuff. I'm
and
like,
it's
don't do that,
really
don't do
can-
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much of that repertoire that has to be removed that unless somebody goes into that class with knowledge, they can really get hurt.
Okay. Another style that I always, talk about things, TRX. I know this is your TRX straps right here,
Yep.
so we have it.
We love
We have
TRX.
TRX. So what's the thing about TRX? Give me a little sense of like, what's the idea, conceptually about it? Like,
Well, conceptually, I mean, I don't know if you know the history of the TRX, but it
I'd love
comes
to.
from
I'm a big history buff. I got a book. My wife hates history. I love history.
He was a Navy SEAL.
Oh,
So
okay.
I guess when they were, out in, I don't know what the proper
Ropes and stuff,
but
yep.
they would adapt their like parachute lines and cords, and it was their way of
Oh,
doing weight
that's.
training.
I forgot about you. You told me about that.
And
Yeah.
so that was kind of the birth of the TRX. But what I love about it is, again, it can be as hard or as easy as you want. It all depends on the angle of your body.
Right.
I've watched videos that are just people really take it to the next level where they are completely suspended. Arms, legs.
Right.
But it also can be done at home. I have one at home. All you need is a little door hanger.
I've seen those. You kind of little drawing.
And yet I could do it with a person who's 70 years old.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's
'Cause
body
all
weight
just.
and it's lean, and depending on how much you lean, how much of your body weight you're bearing into the handle, so you're really completely in control. Plus, you can make a change on a dime. So you can step back 1 inch and it's gotten harder. You can step forward 1 inch,
Yeah.
it's gotten easier.
So
It's
there's your fatigue and all that.
Very adjustable, quickly.
Must be nice too, clients that can't, like you said, have certain financials or time-wise, they can do it at home, so there's home units, so you can kind of learn here
It's a
and kind of
great piece.
continue
Such
with
a
the
great piece of
TRX.
equipment.
I love it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, in the field, I guess in Navy, they had, how do we kind of work around our home program without a formal gym and all that? So, excellent. What else have we talked about? We talked about certification. What about sleep? We talked about sleep and recovery, and we said we don't get into.
As much, I like to see. I would love to say everybody should sleep 8 hours.
Right.
And that would be great. But I mean, people do vary in their needs for sleep.
Okay.
But I mean, I do think it's important and consistent, and the idea of going to bed at a relatively consistent time, getting up at a relatively consistent time, is really a good practice.
Right.
But again, life gets in the way. You got to do what you can do, but you have to prioritize it. But there's no real fast rule to say how much.
Yeah, I try and shoot for between 7 and 8 if I'm lucky, but the caffeine
Nice.
disruption,
Doesn't
that's
always
if it's a good 7 or 8 hours and all that. So, is there any other things that you've done here as far as different types of exercise approaches? I know we talked about Pilates, TRX.
It's still a trend, really, with the bar method.
Oh,
of
yeah,
stuff.
we didn't even talk about
Upstairs
that.
We have
bars and we have
ballet
TRXs in the
bars
ceiling
and-
upstairs.
That's right, I remember seeing those and all that. So.
I think I said earlier, I think one of the biggest reasons people stop doing fitness is they're bored. So
Right.
I try
We
so
really
hard
try to change it up here. We
on
don't do the
keeping
same
current,
thing
whatever
twice.
is new, whatever is exciting, whatever's safe, of course, but
Right.
just keeping it different.
Yeah, I think that changed. And in fact, when I talk to my patients that come here, they always talk about how it's always different, it's always changing, and I think that keeps that energy going. That you can have fun for you, right? You know, because you get bored if you're doing the
They
same
come in and
thing.
people say, "Oh, don't tell me you've been watching videos."
Exactly.
I think really important balance training.
Yeah, tell me.
Hugely important. So many people struggle with their balance, and as you get older, a bad fall can really derail your life.
Yeah, I mean, hip fractures and falls
is
is
so important. And even some of my younger clients, I find that their balance isn't all that awesome.
Yep.
And some of my older ones, women who hike, I find their balance is amazing. So
Yeah.
it isn't just age, but it's an important thing to work on.
Yeah, that's something that we talk about with all our clients is a combination of strength, flexibility, trunk strength, and also balance. We try and incorporate it at any time. There's some simple tests to kind of self-assess that I'll use, and it really gives people a goal. How many seconds can I stand on one leg? We call it a balance test, and there's several different things. There's balls, I guess you use. You got Bosus, you got balance boards and all
make
that.
them just do things when they close their eyes.
Right, yeah. Taking out the visual system
That'll
is
kill you.
to kill you. Yeah, that's an old party trick. I think when you turn your eyes, what the guy doesn't push you over, but I think balance is fun. I just find it's very entertaining. Like people are like, wow, this is kind of cool. I'm trying to figure out how to move my body. It's not a weight or anything like that. So. Well, tell me a little bit. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with? I really appreciate you taking the time, but is there anything else you want to make sure they leave with as far as personal training or something maybe I haven't asked you, or I think we've covered a lot. But
We've covered a lot.
We have.
I just think it's important for people to know that, whether they come to a trainer for one session or 50 sessions, they still have to learn that fitness is theirs. They own it.
right.
It's a lifestyle.
And, it's a lifestyle, and, what they learn from us, I never say to anybody, you need to stay with me forever. You need to stay with me as long as you need to stay with me. We have clients with us over 30 years.
Right.
I actually have one 35 years.
Wow.
It's quite a few over 10 and 15 and 20. But that's because of their choice, not because they need me.
I don't think they need Lynn, but I think they really like their experience here. So I think that's
But the
that's
point
wonderful.
is you still have to own your fitness. You really do have to own it. It's yours.
Okay.
It's so accessible too. I mean, now you can have fitness everywhere.
Yeah,
There was
right.
a point where it really wasn't accessible.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just simply an app and watching a video. I mean, you can do it anywhere.
Sounds good.
So.
Yeah, well, that sounds great. Well, so thank you so much for the time and all that. I hope people learn from it. Please share this on Facebook with your friends that have questions about personal training. It'll be also on our Facebook page if you have any questions about it. Body by Lynn, you can see on here. You can reach their website, and also it gives all the contact information. You can always call the clinic here about any of that. And I hope you got something from the time here. And thanks again, Lynn and Marisa. Have a great day.